Hey, Mike here, April 24th, 2026. It was about 4:15 a.m. as you can see when I was doing this. Um, I typically mitigate when I get up early in the middle of the night, after five and a half, or somewhere in that ballpark of sleep. I'm up for a few hours, and I do stuff like this before going back to bed later. So before I tracked my sleep, I was losing sleep like you wouldn't believe. I was always tired. I was always not feeling good from being fatigued and tired. And then, several years back, I started recording daily and tracking my sleep and I couldn't believe how much sleep I was losing. All right, so yeah, you get 5.5 hours sleep. It's still quite not enough, or five, still quite not enough. Whatever it is, 4.5, 5. And so I make sure I go back to bed and I sleep, and then I wake up at 7:30, 8:30, whatever the time is, and I'm ready to go for the day, and I'm well rested. And plus, mitigating in the middle of the night helps. And then in the morning, oftentimes, I get back to the mat before I even do an activity and the day starts. I get warmed up. Here, I'm working the lateral line hardcore. This video has a lateral line emphasis. Lateral line is interconnected tissue, actual chain of fascial muscle units that are all interconnected, that run right from underneath the foot all the way to the neck behind the ear there. Your glute is part of that chain, and my glute is extreme because the entire chain's a problem, but my glute especially. Because it takes a beating, because that muscle, that part of the chain, is subjected to a lot more stress. I have extremely distressed glutes, and that's part of my mitigation plan, is working those glutes as part of focused and isolated, and also as part of a chain there. My recommendation to people that want to get into rolling, make sure you get at least two, whether it be a 24-inch or an 18, or maybe a 36 like this one, and a 24. I love the 24-inch. It's fantastic for the torso. It really is. Every roller has a whole different feel to it, and obviously you do different things with them. So you're not just massaging and elongating and manipulating tissue. You're also isolating and exercising, which is very important, because these distressed muscles often experience low range of motion. Okay. Yeah, that was a nice release there. But back to the range of motion of muscles. Muscle inhibition is a big problem with this disease, due to excessive tension and the fact that they're not getting they oftentimes, because they get so distressed, remaining in a contracted state, attempting to stabilize my pelvic and spine, that they don't release, and they're extremely ticked off. So you got to get them, you got to massage them, you got to get fresh fluid, and you got to get nutrients, and just try to get them working again. Okay? Elongate, stretch, twist, rotate. So instead of laying around at night, that's I mean, unless I've hit the wall and I'm really in bad shape, at night I'm going to be
Oh my God.
mitigating the problems caused by whatever activities I did during the day.
Oh.
And I mitigate throughout the day too. I'm always on the floor or rollers. I spend half my life in my living room. Got a few more releases coming along in this short session. We got a real long one by the looks of it. Um, I'm looking at the sound.
Oh my God.
You'll notice that it impacts when I have these releases. It's my arms can still, my hands are affected very little by what's going on. Yeah, I like lifting the knee up like that because that opens up the hip, and now you're really working tissue that otherwise might not be worked as deep and as hard um, because of the fact that,
Oh my.
well, the channel's not wide and open, so the roller can get right in there. Real problem, right from just below the pelvis, right up into the upper body. I put in at least 1,000 hours a year on rollers. I mean, if you do the math, let's just say it's just 3 hours a day. That's 21 hours um, a week times 52. I mean, there's your 1,000 plus. I do minimum 1,000 a year. It's probably closer to 1,500 on the mat, on the roller. You get really good with this. You experience. You get real, like right there. I'm really targeting a real problem area where I've also lost a lot of tissue. I'm like sitting right on it. That area is a massive problem for me. That's why all the tissue was lost, and why I'm fighting every day to try to get some back or to keep myself from losing it. I had the bright idea, to go up and down the stairs a few years back and get exercise and do sets going up steps and down and up and down, up and down. All I did was make my legs smaller. I lost my ass more. I mean, it became like a teeny little thing. And the tendons were so tight in my legs that they looked stringy. And my knees were getting pain from being pulled on. Yeah, this is the long one right here. Seems like it goes on for quite a while. I'm quite broken. Quite. I had a doctor's appointment on the 21st, and, they couldn't make the appointment earlier than like 11:30. So, by 11:30, if I get up, let's say at 5 or 4, I'm done for the day. I'm having problems. So I had to work my sleep in such a way. Go to bed at 10, you wake up at 3, you go back to bed at 5:30, wake up at 8:30. Now your day started at 8:30, so I was only 3 hours in. for my appointment that day. So this has been an up-close look. I know the lighting could have been a little better, but this is an up-close look of me working main fascial meridians with a emphasis of my glutes. I don't want to lose them. I had to work hard to get a little bit.
4:37 a.m.